Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of our series, Battles of the Mind. Today we are talking about something almost everyone can also relate to, and this is anxiety and overthinking. Sometimes the loudest battles aren't happening in the world as we know or as we see it, but they're actually happening inside our heads. Not physical fights, but thought wars. Moments where your mind just won't rest, okay? And many of us didn't just wake up like this. It started early. How we were raised shaped how we think. If you grew up in a home where every action was judged, where you often heard, "Why did you say that? What will people think? Don't embarrass us," then even without knowing it, you were actually trained to overthink. And now you second guess yourself before anyone even says a word. You find yourself rehearsing conversations in your head. You replay everything that has happened to you or people who have hurt you. You replay scenarios again and again. "Oh, why did I say that? I would have said it this way." That's what psychologists call rumination. When you sit in your thoughts replaying scenarios over and over again as if thinking more will fix that problem, but it never does, right? And truthfully, it's not always because we are weak. Sometimes it's because we actually care. We care about how we sound. We care about being liked. We care about not disappointing people or God. So our mind starts building these stories that sometimes aren't even real. But here's something that I would like to say. Anxiety isn't necessarily bad, okay? It's your body saying that, something matters to me. It becomes unhealthy only when it begins to control you. All right? Now, let's take this deeper. Many of us have even found ourselves in situations where we were anxious when it comes to the things of God. You want to talk about Jesus. You want to talk about your time in church with somebody, but something in you just freezes. What if they laugh at me? What if I sound too spiritual? What if I say it wrong? But Paul tells us in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 that for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. A sound mind means a steady mind, a calm heart, even in a chaotic situation. You may stammer, you may shake, but speak anyway. Because when you speak from love, you know what happens? God amplifies your voice, okay? Now, let's talk about something else, and that's connection. One thing I have realized from conversations with people is that we live in such a lonely world. We are extremely lonely. This generation is lonely. We have followers, yet we don't have genuine friends. We say we have communities, but most of them just live online. We just know each other's profiles, not each other's hearts. And now we are even anxious about simple human interactions. So someone calls you and your heart starts to race. Not because you're excited about the call, but because you are anxious to pick the call. You would rather text. And this is becoming quite common these days because texting gives us control. You can think through it, you can edit, you can delete, and then you can now send the perfect reply, right? But a phone call, that's too raw. It's too unpredictable. So we hide behind our screens, typing paragraphs to people we can't even look in the eye. And then we sit and wonder why we often feel misunderstood and why no one really gets us. It's because many of us have built emotional walls and we have labeled them as this thing called boundaries. We say, "I'm protecting my peace," but deep down, we are avoiding connection. So sometimes you see somebody you like, maybe a friend or maybe more, and you overthink it. What if I sound too forward? What if they don't like me? So you wait, and they also wait. And before you know it, you have two anxious people, kind people actually, who are sitting in silence and missing out on something real that would have turned out to become a beautiful friendship. All right, but because fear spoke louder than love. And let's be real, education has also played its own part. Probably has made things worse. Education sometimes has even made this worse. The more exposed you are, the more afraid you are to fail. You've seen so much, you have been exposed to so much that you can't stand the thought of imperfection. You tell yourself, I can't afford to fail. People are watching. But who is really watching? The most successful people aren't the most confident. They are the most courageous. They move with trembling feet, with shaky voice, with sweaty palms and panic attacks, but they move anyway. Because success doesn't come to those who wait till they are ready. It comes to those who move while they are scared. Your mind is a battlefield, but you shouldn't let it be your prison. Romans 12 verse 2 tells us that, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What does this tell us? It means that your mind can actually heal. Your thought patterns can actually change. And your fears can be unlearned. The same mind that overthinks negativity can also overflow with peace and joy. Isaiah 26 verse 3 says, you will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you and whose minds are stayed on you. So now the goal is not to stop thinking, because that's our nature, right? We are overthinkers and it's for a reason, right? And I think that it is a gift because we tend to see what other people fail to see. So the goal here is to think differently, to fill your thoughts with truth and not fear, to fill your thoughts with hope and not worry. So maybe anxiety is not your enemy here. Maybe it is just a signal that something powerful is about to be born through us. That every time you feel anxious, you feel scared, you feel tension, it's just something telling you to push and not pause. Because at the end of the day, the battle of the mind is not won by silence. It's not also won by trying to fix everything, but by trusting in God who already holds the blueprint of your life. This is Battle of the Mind Day 2. And today, we just reminded ourselves that even in anxiety and even in overthinking, God is still in control.